is your Monday moment, clearly in a little more festive orientation, because heck, who couldn't use a little more festive these days? But good news is coming. Also, good changes and additional transition is coming, as likely in your state you're reaching a point and hearing news about a transition plan to reopen our country. So here's the question for today's Monday moment. How do you reopen the team exactly? And I believe that focus could come from some additional planning, structure, and efforts using an analogy from what we're hearing on the news every evening. You've likely heard these terms: gating, phases, criteria, and rolling out a phased approach to reopen your city or your state, or frankly, the nation. And it started to occur to me that these same terms, the phased approach, the gating criteria, could apply to some specific areas in leadership when you are planning how to reopen the team of people you have the privilege of leading. So let's take a look at 3 specific areas in which this same sort of approach might be applicable and might make use of your current downtime, as well as give you some structure, a sense of confidence and control, and some clarity around how to approach this massive, again, transition. The first area is in that of hiring. Now, some industries are hiring right now. You've seen ads for Domino's, you've seen ads for your local grocery store, you've likely even seen ads for delivery services. So perhaps you're in a position to hire new people. Now's the time to look at what are the key criteria for ideal job candidates. Now, you've likely gotten that all covered, but take a fresh approach in this new environment and re-examine those criteria. Also consider looking at the phased approach, or gating, so to speak, of your hiring process. What are the gates through which a candidate must proceed, and what criteria must they meet for each gate in order to transition to the next phase of either an interview process or employment? For example, when someone initially sees a job posting on Indeed or LinkedIn or simply word of mouth in your area, what are the criteria they need to be an ideal candidate to even get through the initial screening process? Secondly, is the first phase that they submit an application. That would be logical. Second phase, they have a phone screening. Third phase, there are 2 supervisors or managers who reach out to them and have a more personal one-on-one or targeted behavioral interview conversation. And the last phase, they talk to you, the inimitable grand poobah leader. Now, this is just one example of how to gate and phase your hiring process. If you're not in a position of hiring new people, perhaps you're just looking at bringing everyone back that was previously either temporarily laid off, their positions were temporarily eliminated, or you have furloughed the entire workforce. First and foremost, if at all possible, if you've been able to utilize a PPP loan, or you simply had reserves or some other stream of revenue, bring all those people back. Except the ones that have chosen perhaps at this time in their life to take this as a cue to move on to the next chapter. If at all possible, bring everyone back. And then, once the dust settles, things feel a little more solid and stable in the new transitional process, then examine how you will hire and add new people to the team through such a structure, including the gated criteria, what must they meet before they move to the next phase, and using that process. Second area in which this analogy may apply and add confidence and structure, since, well, we've all gone about 2 months without knowing what day it was, so structure would be welcome. The second area would be in promotions. Similar to hiring, you may now have an opportunity to create a whole new division or add on people to provide a service that previously was not part of your business model. Or you may simply, because of the domino effect of people leaving, committing to early retirement programs, or simply having found other jobs in the process to fill a number of vacancies. What are the key criteria for you to promote someone? What is the gate they must first pass through to be eligible for that promotion or to go to the next step of your promotion process? And then once in that process, once they've been promoted, what's the next criteria for them to reach the next level? Now, if you have an entire workforce at which previously you have shared, here's your basic unwritten rule criteria about how to get promoted. Now would be a time, once the dust settles and people come back, to establish clarity around, in order to get this promotion, these are the criteria one must meet, these are the gates through which one must pass, and these are the phases we will use to ensure you are appropriately onboarded into that next position. Keep in mind, as the owner of contagious companies, where our focus is managers who've been promoted but not prepared, we see a lot of, let's just call it, lack of clarity in the area of promotion and who gets promoted and when and for what reasons. The third area where this analogy may be applicable is in training. What are the phases of training that you provide employees and that team you have the privilege of leading? As you're starting to reopen the team, you now have a unique opportunity to take a fresh start, somewhat like we do in every January. Now, in many places, it's May, June, and July, in which this time period we're discussing planning will occur. But act like it's January. Take a fresh stab at it, a fresh look, and particularly in the area of training. You may have an onboarding training process, a new hire orientation process. You may have some level of management or leadership development training. If not, we can certainly help you in that area. But when you're looking at your offerings, are they clear, structured, and phased? Now we're talking about people, which are inherently complex. So you can't always fit the entire training process on an Excel spreadsheet and everyone will fit in an appropriate cell or box or category. But in large part, you can structure your training to include this same sort of gating criteria and phases. There are phases through which one must pass in order to receive a promotion relevant to training. You have to have taken this class or this webinar. You have to have worked with the executive coach on payroll or on consulting status for a minimum of 3 hours in order to complete that particular phase and move on to the next phase. When your focus is on leadership 24/7, you tend to pick up analogies and examples and see leadership application in, well, almost everything. So as I'm watching the news nightly and as I'm seeing the progression and transition to that reopening the business, reopening the team status in our media, I started to think about how this would apply to you, the leader who's currently thinking, what are we going to do going forward? And our hope is you've survived this process, your resiliency has tripled, your perseverance is like none other ever experienced, and you're about ready to take some action, build some structure, and make some progress in this area. We've still got time for 2020 to be your best year ever, and yet those cycles of ups and downs and knowing what to do and having no clue are very normal. So as you start to reopen the company, reopen the team, reopen your doors to interacting with other humans, recognize that providing some clarity and stability will help many of your workforce make a faster, smoother transition. It will help many of your customers understand how now to do business with you even more rapidly, and will help you as a leader to gain much greater confidence in this era and realm of pretty consistent uncertainty. You've got this. and I look forward to hearing great things. I'm Monica Wofford, and that's your Monday Moment. I look forward to seeing you soon, and in the meantime, have a great week, a great new grand opening, and remember, even though contagious has been associated with not so pleasant things the last couple of months, your leadership is still contagious. Your courage, your resilience, and your diligence are still contagious. Join us on the next Monday Moment at mondaymoment.com. See you soon.